everybody, GravyTrain here, doing another Gravy Training video. This one is Hero Spotlight number 12, Zomm, by request. So, Zomm is a slow, our first, well no, Jin is slow, a slow caster, legendary undead. So, because he's slow, he's going to get the bonuses to health and to attack, and he is going to do revenge attacks and all that fun stuff. Zomm does have an epic, gives him 30% defense, 20% attack, 10% crit chance, and a passive chance to do 2x damage, disease all enemies, and buff all undead allies. Max health by 20%, which is a pretty sizable buff. And passive, he gets epic from the grave, and we will look at that when we get into his passives. So, stats-wise, I tend to rune my Valken either, he's just not that great on as full attack. So you can either go kind of a mix of, like, 3 attack, 2 defense, or 2 attack, 3 defense. In this case, I went for as much defense as I could. He will still have some attack because he's got a red slot, but other than that, yeah, he's pretty much defensively geared. So let's look at the runes. He has a community rune for defense, damage reduction, a tank rune on him. I'm not real fond of the stats on the purple tank rune, but it is what it is. We got a healer rune. This one's attack with a little bit of defense, and it heals at the end of at the end of each round. Hero rune, defense, attack, damage reduction, and an unbreakable heart. And this one, if I had one of the other ones, I would consider swapping it in, but not that important for the time being. So his defense could actually be probably closer to almost 20,000 if I had the other runes in place. So now, looking at his abilities, he is slow, so he attacks. He doesn't attack last, he attacks in the last phase, but increases base attack and max health by 25%. The percent is increased with skill. His skill is baseline, so this hero also has a 100% base chance to make a basic revenge attack when hit by a physical attack. So magical attacks, things like that, no, but ranged physical or melee physical will. He has Soulless Scourge. Like all undead, he is immune to poison, venom, wound, and disease, and he lifesteals 25% of all damage dealt. He's mystical, so he's got boosted damage to tanks and slow targets. And he is the Lord of the Undead. So, increase health by 25% for all undead allies. That means, it's phrased poorly, all undead allies get 25% more health. And undead allies have a chance to disease melee attackers. So it's like having a plus 20% chance to disease on attacker on hit, whatever, that kind of thing. If they get hit, they have a chance to disease them. Here we've got the epic from the grave. So summons up to 3 Zomminions, slow dark undead skeletons at the start of his turn for each dead ally, and Zomminions start ready. I'm not sure what the benefit, I've never really understood what the benefit of the epic was. He always would have, when he's fully ascended, he would summon up to 3. I don't know if they're just better, that's what I'm assuming. And his abilities. So we've talked about his basic attack. He has a chance to disease and spread the disease, and then the 30% chance for the epic. So just for reference, disease will reduce attack and healing think defense. I'd have to double check. But it basically it's a pretty sizable debuff. So disease is not bad at all. Like, it's actually kind of good. So, a taste for brains. The ranged dark attack for 3184 base damage. That's with my stats. It'll be a little bit different on yours. Purges all buffs. You know what? I didn't realize that. I hadn't read that closely. That is actually really good. I will have to remember that. And it increases allied undead max health by 28% and heals allied undead for 4,700 damage or 4,700 health. On a killing blow, or you can target a corpse, corpse is removed. So this is really good. This used to be one of the only ways to kind of clear corpses back when Zomm was like uber. He was definitely an S for a while. I mean, even when barbarians were big or when beast groups are big, this is a really good way to get rid of corpses. You just have to be careful about the feather from Solaris. So that's a good ability. Next is Unleash the Legion. Allies gain 74% attack buff, and then all undead allies attack a random enemy. This is undead heroes as well as Zomminions. So this is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's an attack buff, so doesn't hurt. And then this is a random enemy, so it's not going to be affected by taunt or anything like that. And then Fillet Zomminions. So Snacrifices, and that is not a misprint. It sacrifices all allied Zomminions. Allies gain +1 energy and 27% max health, plus +1 energy and 27% max health for each Zomminion sacrificed. So that means if there are no Zomminions on the table, you still get +1 energy and 27% max health additional. If there's 1, you get 2 and 54. If there are 3, or if there are 2, you get 3 and 81, and so on. Obviously up to 4, or up to, no, it could only be 3, so. Somewhat limited utility here. The max health is good. The energy is good. But the most effect comes when Zomm is solo, and Zomm really, like the energy, Zomm's doesn't have a lot of energy stuff. Like, some of these things are going to take 4 or 5 turns to come back up. Fillet Zomminions take 6, but you're getting 1 energy anyways, so I mean, it's going to be 5. He's not hugely dependent on his abilities. He's dependent on his Zomminions. So Fillet Zomminions is not really a great ability. Plus, if you're like a 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 scenario, which is not uncommon for Zomm, you're basically killing off your entire party until your next turn. So all they've got to do is finish you off. So be careful about Fillet Zomminions. The rest of these are all fine. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Zomminions and those kind of things, but I'm not going to go into the PvP side with him, purely because if you check out my Shade video, that was just as much a Zomm PvP tutorial as it was a Shade tutorial. So I'm not going to go ahead and go through all that again and kind of disrupt my teams for that, but you can definitely check out the Shade video. It was number 10. So if you want to see Zomm in PvP. Some things to remember, and some things that are not really well documented about these Zomminions. And I'm kind of like scooting down here. Let me a little higher again. These Zomminions are based upon the class and stats of the hero that spawns them. So if a healer dies, they come back as a healer Zomminion. If a caster dies, they come back as a caster. A rogue will come back as a rogue, a tank will come back as a tank, a warrior will come back as a warrior. So, Snosberries taste like Snosberries. Um, so that kind of composition means that if you want to really optimize the kind of second phase of the battle where it's I mean, you won't always get down to where your heroes are dying and they're being replaced by Zomminions, but the Zomminions are no joke. If they are really well runed and really well set up in life, they're going to be really well runed and really well set up in death. So putting strong heroes, like in the other video I use Shade, very heavily offensively ruined. He becomes a really strong Zomminion when he comes back. Hansuke ends up really good that way. I mean, dwarves come out really well. But having a healer, a caster, or a rogue, and a tank means that you've got all of those things in. I mean, the Zomm tank, the Zomminion, tank Zomminion, is annoying. Because, I mean, it'll throw up taunt every time it spawns. And you kill it, and the next round it's back up, and it's got taunt up. So, I mean, it's definitely... Sometimes Zomm is not that easy to kill. I mean, for a strong enough team, he's not as uber as he used to be. It used to be that Zomm would just wipe teams. Like, pretty much, you'd send him in with fodder so that they would die, they'd come back as their minions, and you'd just stop. Now, that doesn't really happen as much. But you can definitely finish off a fight where it's only like a couple of enemies left, and you've got your Zomminions. I mean, you've always got a full team. And this is the case whether or not the bodies get burned or eaten or whatever else, like the bodies disappear. If he devours a corpse, doesn't matter. Those bodies can be gone, the Zomminion stays. Unlike trying to res them, it just pops up in whatever slot that they would have been coming from. So you're always going to have up to 3 additional Zomminions. And like I said, the stats, at least the first round of stats, is always based on that. As they start coming back again after that, I think they can become anything. Or there's a couple of variations. But yeah, so just some things you want to consider with Zomm then. The undead teams don't have bad synergy. They don't have dwarf level synergy or even barb level symmetry or anything like that. But they've got some stuff that kind of works really well. I mean, Craw, Zomm, Shade. Although I don't think Shade is technically undead. I think he is a spirit. Yeah, he's a spirit, but he has synergy with them from the dark side. You've also then got not nitpick. Hopper's got the dark synergy with them. You'll see Hopper use a lot. Life Reaper Brahm, who when he's properly set up, he's probably about a B, something like that. I think he's a B on my list. Cobalt, the Pestilent, or Dark Mage Cobalt in this case, for a lot of disease. I mean, there's definitely synergy among some of these heroes, and even like Agnon or Malice or things like that. So, anyhow, I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, if you want to see the PvP side, check out the Shade video. It's in the second half. I do a number of battles there, and the battles are as much focusing on Zomm as they are Shade. So, that's it. If you are a subscriber, awesome. If you are not, I would definitely appreciate a subscription. I'm trying to get to 100 so that I can get a URL that's readable, and I'm very close. Appreciate thumbs up, tell your friends about us, and yeah, thanks for coming out. Have a great day.